my mic isn't on. See, that's why we got to test it. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We are back at it, back here for another YouTube live stream, looking all crispy and clean on the screen. I think we're good. Let me double check and see if we're good up in this thing. Let me see. Can y'all see me? Can y'all hear me? I think I see some ones over there in the chat. Hopefully y'all are doing well on this Taco Tuesday. I think Amy said it's officially Taco Tuesday for real. Like, this is the Taco Tuesday day of the year. So shout out to Taco Tuesday. All right, welcome y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the ClassE Morning Show. I'm your host ClassE of patreon.com/ClassEbeats, by the way. Link is in the description as well as in the pinned comment in the chat. And we are going to get into it today. We've got a lot we're going to be reporting on for you guys. We're going to be talking about everything that's going on with Diddy. He wants a change of, I'm not going to call it a change of venue, but he's trying to get relocated. The president's talking about Diddy. We're going to get into Candace Owens, and she's finally bringing some receipts. Mark Sanchez has got an update as well, and he's being sued if you haven't heard. And then we're going to get into the Kyren Lacy story. We're going to figure out what happened with this tragic situation with the LSU football player. And I'll give you guys the whole story and now the information that's coming out and his attorney speaking out as well. So we'll get into it. But before I do, I have to say what's up to the people, man. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. We've got my awesome, amazing Amy in here, of course. First thing in the morning. Excuse me. We've got my guy Les Cleaver in here, says happy Taco Tuesday. The big dog J Money's up in this thing. We've got Just Saying with Alicia. Good morning to y'all. Shout out to all the members in here. Trisha's in here. Virginia Wiley's in the building as well. So good to see everybody up in this thing. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get into it shortly, but as many of you know, if you've been watching this show for any amount of time, you need to know that I will be begging for likes throughout the show. All right. And I'm going to ask you for likes right now. Likes are free. It helps the show continue to grow. It lets the algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the show. It takes less than a second to do, and it shares the video, the channel, this live stream out with more people. I see there are already 2,000 of you that have liked the video. I got to give you guys a round of applause. Nowhere else are they doing this. We start the live stream with 2,000 of y'all liking the video. That's crazy. Thank y'all so much. It means a lot. I appreciate it as well. Also, if you're feeling extra generous, you can share the video as well. You can share it on Facebook. You can share it on Instagram. You can share it on X. You can even share it via text to your group chat. Let the people know where you're going to be hanging out and where you're getting your news information from this morning. All right. Also, I will be giving a special thank you to anyone that sends in the super chat. So big shout out to those of you that go above and beyond and send in super chats as we go throughout the show. I appreciate it. And I will be reading those as we get into it as well. Hopefully y'all are having a good Tuesday so far. Everybody's feeling healthy. I know there's been some stuff going around our house and it's been a struggle, but I want to see how y'all are doing in here. J Money says Tuesday morning work grind. Les Cleaver vibing out to some fire music this morning at work. Enjoying this cool weather in Cali. Hope you're having a good morning. Same to you, J Money. Shout out to the big dog. He also says good morning. Good to see you in here. Carla says good morning and happy Tuesday to you as well. All right. I've had a little bit of a cough. Well, a lot of bit of a cough. Let's be real. I'm going to take a sip of water and we're going to go ahead and get right into it. All right. So you guys check this out. I don't even know if I actually updated the title. We're going to get started with somewhat of a quick topic and talk about what's going on with Sean Diddy Combs. Now, as we know, and let me get this updated, there's been some recent news about Diddy, a lot going on, him trying to figure out where he's going to be. And there were rumors that Diddy could possibly be seeking a pardon. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. So as many of you know, Diddy was recently sentenced and he's going to be serving some time in jail, some time in prison. He's trying to go back and forth with the judge to figure out where he's going to stay. They hated the MDC where he was currently at, said the conditions were bad. His life was threatened. Although he was doing good things in the prison, he wanted to get out of there. So now we have an update. Diddy is trying to get relocated. His attorneys wrote a letter to the judge and we'll see what happens there. All right, check this out.
Back now with breaking news, and it involves Sean Diddy Combs. His attorney is now requesting that the former or current rap mogul be placed at Fort Dix in New Jersey as a place to serve his prison sentence because of its drug treatment program. His lawyers, in a letter to a judge, said that they want to address his drug abuse issues and maximize family visitation and rehabilitative efforts.
And yes, you guys did hear that right. He is trying to be transferred to Fort Dix. This is a family show. I'm going to leave that joke alone. I'm sure you guys will handle it and take care of it for me in the comments and in the chat. There's a reason he wants to be transferred here, and we're going to get into the letter from his attorney that explains a little bit more here shortly.
They request that the court strongly recommend the Bureau of Prisons that Mr. Combs be placed at that Jersey facility. They're also asking Combs to be placed in the Bureau's most intensive treatment program. Fort Dix is a low-security prison with about 4,000 inmates. It is ultimately, though, up to the Bureau of Prisons to decide where Combs will ultimately serve his time.
All right, so what exactly did his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, have to say about this to the judge? He says, Judge S, or Judge AS as we call him, on behalf of Mr. Combs, we respectfully request that the court strongly recommend a designation facility to the Bureau of Prisons in Mr. Combs' judgment in order to address drug abuse issues and to maximize family visitation and rehabilitative efforts. We request that the court strongly recommend to the Bureau of Prisons that Mr. Combs be placed at the FCI Fort Dix for RDAP purposes and any other available education and occupational programs. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully submitted. Obviously, that is Mark Agnifilo representing Diddy. So the reason he wants to get into this RDAP program is because, as we talked about previously, if he gets into this program, he's going to be able to get out of jail sooner. So he could look at going from serving, as many of y'all have seen, reported, serving that full 50 months, however it is. You give him credit for time served. We're down to what, 26 months. Then if he gets into this RDAP program, he could possibly be looking at only serving about 14 to 17 months. So again, this is a big deal for Diddy. If he can get transferred here, if he gets accepted into this program, that's going to be huge. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with the process as far as appeals go, but they may not need to, because according to the president, there were or have been or could potentially be conversations about a pardon moving forward. Now, we already heard from President Trump when he was initially asked about it, and he kind of said, I don't think I'm going to pardon Diddy. He said some nice, not nice things about me, some very nasty things, as the president would say. We'll have to see what he says here.
Today, Mr. President,
say it.
The Supreme Court is back and said that they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
You know, I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I'd have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly.
So the president spilling the beans on this one and saying that Diddy did ask for a pardon. I don't know if we're going to see it. It's interesting that he brings that up when being asked about Mrs. Maxwell, because if he's saying that, and most likely he's not going to pardon her, it would be interesting and it would make sense that he would bring up Diddy like, hey, Diddy asked me for a pardon, and I might be considering that. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. It's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. Is Diddy going to be able to decide or have a say into where he goes? Is he going to get into the RDAP program? And will he be looking at less time? Is the president just going to erase all this and pardon him, and Diddy's not going to have to stay in jail any longer? It'll be interesting to see. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. Mary said he's so full of shit. I think he's doing the political thing. He's doing the political thing. Shout out to the president of the United States. Mr. Brown, good morning. Good to see you in here. Mary's in here as well. Why exactly does he feel entitled to pick and choose where he does his time? Stay out of New Jersey. Ugh. Well, they're saying, and Mark Adnifilo is saying, it'll be conducive to the program Diddy's trying to get into to give him less time in prison. So we'll have to see what goes on there. I'm sure he knows Puff Daddy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were actually pretty close until Diddy came out and spoke out against them, which Trump was not happy about. President Trump was not happy about at all. Floyd, the real deal, Neil is in here. Good morning. And we're going to keep rolling right along. Again, thank you so much to all 2,000 of you that liked the video. Can y'all please make sure you like the video? I would appreciate it. Excuse me. All right, let's go ahead and get this next topic in here. We got to get Candace Owens. Y'all know we've been reporting and talking about a lot of the information that Candace Owens has been giving. And I'm finally excited to say that Candace Owens is officially bringing the receipts. If you haven't seen this live stream from Candace Owens, I'm obviously not going to play the whole thing. I want you guys to go over there and support Candace Owens and the work that she's been doing in general, and specifically on this Charlie Kirk assassination. But I'll leave a link in the description to the full live stream of this, the full live stream from Candace Owens. We're just going to listen to a clip of it where she actually brings receipts and she shows that Charlie Kirk may have been changing his mind about certain things, and that could have had an impact into what happened to him on that day, on September 10th. Let's get into it and see what Candace Owens had to say. So first off, she teased yesterday that she was going to be dropping some receipts, and she said this on X. She said, "Should I release more of the text chain tomorrow?" Obviously, yes, she should. So she's going to get into it. She's going to give you guys a little bit of background on what happened, why this back and forth was starting. It mainly seemed to come from, or to stem from, Charlie Kirk having some thoughts or some change of thoughts, not only in his stance on Israel, but when it came to his faith. And Candace Owens had mentioned this before. She was trying to bring him over to her side, and he had a back and forth between what type of religion he wanted to practice. So we'll get into that here, and then Candace Owens will actually show us some receipts from Charlie Kirk himself. Check this out.
Was he becoming Catholic?
No, but he really loved Catholic Mass. He loved the ritual of it. He loved the beauty of old Catholic churches and the stained glass.
And him and Erica would go sometimes.
Yeah, well, Erica's a cradle Catholic, but she ended up kind of like me. I grew up Catholic and First Communion and went to Catholic high school, but then I ended up becoming a Christian in college through a Protestant church, through a non-denominational kind of more experience. It was actually Presbyterian, and then it was kind of non-denominational. And I think Erica kind of follows that same path. She and I share that.
Also, by the way, I just want to draw attention to, she's posted a photo of her and Charlie and the kids in Mass before, and somebody in the comment section said, "Oh, are you guys converting?" And she said, "No, we just like attending sometimes." So she herself had said no.
Yeah, and I think Charlie, one of the things, Charlie really hated worshiping in like a gym, you know, or some sort of kind of blank space that you just turn into church. There's no problem. He didn't have a problem with the act of that. He just didn't prefer it. And he loved, again, the ritual, the ancient, you know, feel of a Catholic Mass, and the fact that everybody around the world that was worshiping as Catholic, he loved that. So he had some really big theological hangups with that. You can go check the videos out, him debating with Michael Knowles, you know, in good fun. I mean, they were dear friends, but they loved kind of debating the whole Protestant versus Catholic thing.
Now, given everything that I've shared with you, does that conversation register as like totally and completely authentic, or kind of trying to be like, yeah, no, like he loved the architecture of things, but beyond that, nothing was happening? Like that's not fully honest. And it registered to me like a cover-up of sorts. And I was wondering, like, what are we exactly covering up? Like, I wasn't going Catholic gang, wasn't trying to bring back a 30 years war. I was just sharing the communications that I had with him. And now I felt like suddenly so many people were racing to establish that his legacy was anything but Catholic, right? Like he was super de-duper Judeo-Christian. And ironically, it was Judeo-Christianity that I was challenging him on personally, like privately. And I was speaking to him about the political pressures of it, the way that I felt because of last year, that it registered to me like more of a cult than a true theology or a religion or a religious aspect rather. And it was back in February of this year when out of nowhere, he's the one that actually messaged me and said, and said Catholicism is sounding better and better in February of 2024. This is kind of when we started having that discussion. We should chat soon. Catholicism is looking better and better. Okay. I then offered back to him a chart just showing how the phrase Judeo-Christianity kind of is really associated with the dawn of the nation of Israel, right? And we did chat about it. We talked about it a lot, and I was thrilled, like I said, and I was being honest, that he was attending Mass, okay? But I want to, again, state that Charlie was not attending Rob McCoy's church. He was attending Mass, so it registered to me, again, as somewhat disingenuous when Pastor Rob McCoy came out and effectively asked me to, stop looking into all of the things that had happened in the lead up to Charlie Kirk's assassination, or at least asking me to pause it rather would be more fair of an interpretation until the memorial, right? I'm going to jog your memory here. Here is what Pastor Rob McCoy wrote on his Instagram after I exposed the now infamous Hamptons meeting, which took place. He wrote this: Charlie Kirk was my friend and I was his pastor. I want to say.
And this pastor was blasting Candace Owens too. Candace Owens was relentless, as y'all know, at the beginning of the investigation into the Charlie Kirk assassination. And she was not backing down. She mourned her friend in the way she was mourning him. And then she got to work investigating, finding sources, trying to figure things out, and wasn't just comfortable with saying, oh, okay, this all makes sense. And this pastor, he wasn't happy with the coverage that Candace Owens was doing. Now, we haven't heard anything from Erica on this. Obviously, I don't think Erica would say anything, but I'd be interested to know how she feels about the coverage that's been going on from Candace Owens' side as well. Let me know what y'all think about that.
Or at least asking me to pause it rather would be more fair of an interpretation until the memorial. Right, I'm going to jog your memory here. Here is what Pastor Rob McCoy wrote on his Instagram after I exposed the now infamous Hamptons meeting, which took place. He wrote this: Charlie Kirk was my friend and I was his pastor. I want to simply say this regarding Candace Owens. Charlie Kirk was a friend to Candace and never publicly spoke poorly of her, although he disagreed with her. He never operated nor entertained gossip or innuendo concerning Candace. My only comment I offer regarding Candace is this: I only wish that at this tragic time of mourning, she would be the friend to Charlie that he was to her. He would never have treated Candace or her family in such a way had, God forbid, this tragedy been hers. All friend loves at all times. Proverbs. Now, I want to be very clear. If Charlie was a friend of mine, I sure hope if I was assassinated in front of the world that he would raise hell to figure out what actually took place in that day. That's not being a friend. A friend is not someone who stays silent when lies are being told by the federal government. That's not a friend. Again, emotionally manipulative. The family can't have you finding out who actually killed him. The family can't have you looking into those things of who was pressuring him behind the scenes. That's not good for the family. It bothers me. I have to be honest with you. That bothers me. I don't even like that, to the untrained eye, he's kind of representing himself or representing Charlie as like a current congregant of his church. I feel like a lot this year I have been feeling as though these pastors are just not as honest as they should be, right? Is that the vibe? Like a lot of pastors are not really so concerned with the truth, is what I would say. So we should zero in here on Rob and what his motivations might be. Right? Why did he decide to post this after I revealed that Hamptons meeting?
It is kind of a weird
you
thing
should
to
know,
post.
I think most people do, that both his son and his daughter-in-law work for Turning Point USA. So whether you want to represent that or not, they have a financial stake in the future of the company. He heads up the faith division. So Charlie's faith.
Oh, man, that's no good. This is all looking really, really weird. And honestly, it really does seem like Candace against the world. Now it makes sense why this pastor would come out and say this. And I don't think Candace has said this before about the pastor being on staff and head of their faith division at Turning Point USA. Now this would make sense why he would say, please just stop bringing all this attention because it's not going to be great for us. It's weird. Getting weird
and
over here,
what
man.
direction it was going into would actually matter, right? It would actually matter if Charlie, and I never said he was going to, decided one day to become Catholic. It would have financial implications.
Yes, it would.
I want to be clear. I never had a conversation that Charlie was in the process of converting. Okay. But Rob in particular knew for an absolute fact that Charlie was done with Israel bullying him. That's what bothers me so much about this man. Him allowing these headlines, Charlie's pastor speaks out, crushes Candace because of what she said, not whatever. I don't like it. He knew, and others knew, that Charlie was done with Israel bullying him, and I am now going to present you proof of what I am saying. This is an actual group chat, which happened 2 days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. There were 9 people in total on this chat, including Charlie and Rob McCoy. I'm going to protect the names of the other 7 for now. To be clear, I might actually release a name every day this week, but I want to show you this because suffice it to say, Rob McCoy was on this text thread, and I think it helps contextualize him as a person, in my view, that he would attack me for telling the truth about the pressure that he was facing.
Wow.
Take a look. So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, ugh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this.
Jeez.
Leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Then somebody writes, a donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term. In my opinion, like all groups, you're going to get a wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times after the dust settles a bit, maybe. So again, this is 48.
Whoa, this is huge. Charlie Kirk had the support from the Jewish community. And clearly, as you see here from this text message thread, they were pulling out. They were pulling back their support. Right. And then he was saying he was going to be switching and changing so many things. And then he wanted to seemingly look like reestablish his relationship with Candace Owens. Guys, I do not believe in consequences. All of this happened leading up to Charlie Kirk being assassinated. The fact that he had someone who was a Jewish donor pull $2 million worth of support is huge. That is major. And it seemed like, did Charlie Kirk just have some of the wrong people on this team? Them pushing him not to invite Candace Owens? And maybe some would say understandably so. But this is big. A lot of people could be getting looked into because of this, because I don't believe in coincidences. And if the FBI can see this information and just shrug their shoulders and say, yeah, there's probably nothing there, then that means there's a lot more here that we don't even know.
8 hours before Charlie was assassinated, he was very clear and he was very explicit, and he did not back down, not in that Hamptons meeting, which they're all lying about, nor in this text thread.
Wow.
I'm not going to reveal the names of the other 7. Actually, you know what? I disagree with myself 4 seconds ago. Let's just throw in Josh Hammer for funsies. He's on this chat, okay? So what are we to make of that?
Candace.
Okay, now that I'm showing you this and showing to you that the conversations were real, I want you to reflect, and it took me a lot of patience to allow the lies that were being woven and the misrepresentations of people that were pretending that I was just, high on lying about Charlie and the pressure he was under, the attacks that not just me, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly faced for trying to stand up and tell the truth about what Charlie was actually going through. Why are you hearing it, though, from me and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly? Isn't that weird? You got people that are hosting a show. Have they, in like one honorable thing, come out and said, like, you know what? F a couple of these donors who made his life a living hell in the last couple of weeks. Why haven't they done that?
Not to mention, Candace did bring up as well that his security detail got switched at seemingly the last minute to, again, allegedly a heavily tied Israeli security team. Let's say that. And again, y'all can go back and you can watch Candace's live stream where she talked about this and gave all the information. It's been documented. it's been seen that this is what happened. There was a last minute switch, a lot of moving parts, some interesting things happening with security, people around Charlie Kirk during the assassination not knowing what was going on. Man.
It's also a rabbi in that chat. Like, why hasn't anybody made that move to at least say, to vindicate what I have been saying about what he was going through? That registers to me as very suspicious. I'm going to frankly say that. It's suspicious to me.
I agree.
It makes me think that in the same way that Charlie was being pressured by money, that you might be now run by that same money, that those same donors might be running you to correct the ship and to focus yourselves on eulogizing Charlie as something and someone that never once flinched, never once for a single second doubted the Israeli cause. Now they want us to suddenly believe the best way to honor Charlie is to shut up, the exact opposite of what he quite literally laid down his life doing. Answering questions, turning point. Answering the questions is what he was doing in the second that he died, okay? And we all are feeling spiritually the same way, so I'm just going to say it. They're not grieving right. It's not up to us to decide how people grieve, but I will say unequivocally that you shouldn't grieve by lying or by gaslighting. Is that fair? Can we all agree? You should not grieve by lying and gaslighting the public. They want us to believe that the only way that we can support and honor Charlie's legacy is by donating our money. But it would not be supportive for us to try to figure out who killed him and why the feds are lying. We should instead just trust the feds and excuse their little half-truths that they're telling along the way. Now, on that point,
no way.
They keep trying to make it seem like it's completely normal that 4 minutes after Charlie was shot, someone on their team nervously raced to grab the SD cards, specifically from the camera that is behind Charlie's head. And that was because during that time, I think it's like trying to make it normal that his instinct was to stand on Charlie's chair to actually violate a crime scene, but also to mysteriously just grab the SD card out of the camera, right? Not only are they pretending that that was completely normal, but they're also presenting it as though it was a heroic act. It was like a forthright, clarified act to do in that moment. And that.
Well, the problem with that is that the person who allegedly, again, this is all alleged, the person who allegedly took the information out of the camera and the SD card had connections to the family. And they're saying through reports that they took the SD card out because they didn't want it to be taken by someone else. They didn't want Erica to have to see what happened. And then also they gave that information and were willing to give that information to the FBI and local law enforcement. And guess what? Law enforcement didn't want to see it. You're like, oh, cool, buddy. Thanks for that. We're good.
It was like a forthright, clarified act to do in that moment. And that anyone who uses their own eyes and sees it as maybe a little bit suspicious are just in the business of spinning conspiracies. Now, that's exactly what was communicated by Andrew Colvett when he sat across from Tucker Carlson, who was hosting Charlie's show. And gratefully, Tucker Carlson instantly responded with a much more sensible approach. Take a listen.
By the way, just one other conspiracy theory I just want to snuff out here. One of our dear friends that literally from the very beginning started with us.
A dear friend.
And loved Charlie like a brother. He grabbed the SD cards out of the camera afterwards. And there's all these conspiracy videos about, like, why did he grab the SD cards? Well, first of all, they're in the possession of the FBI. Okay. It's not like he took them and like ran off with them. Second of all, I asked him personally, I said, why did you do that? And he looked at me and this was his answer. He said, because I know people can be evil. And he did not want that footage being grabbed by somebody. There was videos of people after the incident going and stealing hats off the table.
Yeah, y'all know TMZ would have been right up there like, hey, somebody get those SD cards. I could see it now.
I mean, so I'm so grateful he did that. And that was his instinct. He's like, I'm depressed to know that was why I did that, but I knew that I had to protect that footage because I wanted, I mean, you're recording in like 4K, And so I'm so glad he did that. But Charlie knew the existence of evil. And
well, can I say, I think that people can feel the existence of evil, and that just to put in a sympathetic word for people who are trying to make sense of this and coming to the wrong conclusions, I think they're motivated for the most part by pure intent. I think they don't trust the authorities. They have every reason to feel that way. I know that for a fact. Not the Trump administration in general. Like, we're not, there's been a lot of lying and it's corroded the trust. That's not their fault, actually. They're the victims of it.
That's a good point. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. Candace, shout out to her, finally giving us some great receipts. And when it comes to this entire investigation and things that were happening leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination, this is very important. $2 million here, a change of ideals, change of essentially possibly the entire face of Turning Point USA and the entire company. That's a big deal. And now you're changing views on someone who was maybe possibly invested in your company. A lot going on, and I feel like this isn't going to be the last we're going to hear about it. Again, y'all make sure you go support Candace on this journey as she's doing this great investigative work. We're going to leave a link in the description for you to watch the entire live stream from her, and we'll keep you up to date on specifics about her findings and what we're seeing and hearing from the FBI and local law enforcement as well. Shout out to the gang in here. Woo! We're starting to see receipts. I've been begging Candace, like, Candace, let's see some receipts. Come on. She finally got it. This is wild stuff. And someone once said, everything's a conspiracy theory until it's proven to be true. And a lot of common sense is needed, not only in life, but in this judicial system and in the way things are done. When we look at this Charlie Kirk assassination, a lot of things don't make sense, and we're allowed to have common sense. We like to wait for the evidence to come out, especially here on this channel, and wait to see how things play out, what's being found by law enforcement, what the investigation shows. But let's be real. Those investigations, they're done by people. And in some cases, they're done by corrupt people. So we can't fully rely on that either. So using common sense, I think, is an accurate tool, especially when evaluating things that we already have so much information on, specifically the Charlie Kirk assassination. So shout out to Candace for not giving up on this. I'm going to be here to continue to support her on her journey. We're going to see how the evidence plays out. But man, this is wild stuff. Shout out to the gang in here. We got over 1,400 of you in the building. Thank you to everyone that's in here. 2,000 of you liked the video. Excuse me. If you could, please make sure you like the video on your way in. Likes are free, guys, and I beg for likes on this channel unashamedly. Why? Because they're free. It takes less than a second to do, and I know you guys are going to enjoy your time here. Also, if you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you here. We are open to differing opinions on this channel. All right. So if you hear something that I'm saying, you see something that someone says in the chat and you disagree, please voice your opinion. I think it makes the community better. I think it makes this show better. You won't be shamed for it. We can have a fun back and forth. As long as you keep it respectful, I'm all here for it. So big shout out to everyone who's watching who doesn't necessarily agree, because we need that. That's the way we have a better conversation, better understanding, and we move things forward. So it's always good to see all of y'all in here. Why not take the whole camera? It probably didn't have anything on it. And yes, y'all please go make sure you check out Amy's channel. I was over there earlier as well. So go shout out to Amy, and thank you, J Money, for posting that. If y'all haven't subscribed to Amy's channel, please make sure you do that. Link is in the description as well as in the chat, because J Money dropped it over there as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into Mark Sanchez. We've got our main topic for today. We still got so much to get to when it comes to Mark Sanchez. Again, shouting out Amy. Big shout out to Amy for this. She was one of the first people I saw that posted this. If you're not following Amy on X, and specifically about this Mark Sanchez situation, make sure you go follow Amy on X at IAMYLEIGH on X. You can follow her at Amy Lee on X for all the updates concerning this case, concerning other cases we're going to get into a little bit later. And she gives such an amazing, up-to-date and breaking information on a lot of the news we cover on this show. Specifically when it comes to Mark Sanchez, Amy posted this video that has been shown, maybe some of you have seen it, of what happened to Mark Sanchez after this interaction he had with this 69, nearly 70-year-old man. In case you don't know what happened, Mark Sanchez allegedly was drinking at a bar. He had an issue with the guy who was parked outside of the bar. He went over, they had an altercation. There was a back and forth. The 70-year-old man felt threatened. He stabbed Mark Sanchez several times. And then after that, the police came. Mark Sanchez went to the hospital. The 70-year-old man who goes by PT, or we know him as PT now, he was in the hospital as well. Mark Sanchez is in critical condition. And the police saw video and they released an affidavit of probable cause, which we went through in a previous video. If you haven't seen that, make sure you guys go check that out. Now, Amy was able to find and locate this video of Mark Sanchez after he was stabbed by PT, this 70-year-old man. So check this out. What does she have to say? Amy says, former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez seen stumbling after being stabbed in Indianapolis in footage obtained by the New York Post. Sanchez is now facing felony charges obtained by the felony charges following an alleged fight with a 69-year-old truck driver. Insane. Check this out. And you can see, even if I make this, you guys, I think you can see it there. If you look, you can see this side of Mark Sanchez's, it looks like a polo or whatever he's wearing, this black shirt he's wearing. You can see it's darker than the rest of his shirt. And that's looking like that's where he was stabbed. And he's holding it. Walking further. I mean, this looks bad. And there have been statements released by his family as well, which we're going to get into in another video. But we're going to actually get into it. This is wild. So we're going to look at some information from the expert here when it comes to Mark Sanchez's charges being upgraded. And I'm actually going to give you guys this legal document and we'll go over here shortly. But let's check this out from News Nation and hear from an expert, an attorney, on why Mark Sanchez's why his charges were upgraded to this level 5 felony and what he's going to be looking at facing moving forward.
A slam dunk case for the prosecutors at this point. If you're talking about, and you read the criminal complaint, they have surveillance tape that seemingly matches up with the account of the driver, that Mark Sanchez was the first person to be aggressive, that he allegedly chased this driver and was the one who pushed him, and then everything started. I mean, is that the end of the story?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it all depends. By elevating this to a felony, which is what in your package, the first thing that started, that obviously raises the stakes. But initially, at least, they had this as a couple of misdemeanors. Then you'll notice that also this person who came out and did the press conference and announced the charges said the investigation is ongoing. So there could be other explanations here. There could be things that haven't been captured, at least on the tapes that they've seen so far. And I'm sure that whoever's defending Mark, first thing that they're going to say is, how did this supposed complaining witness or victim, how is it he's already got a lawsuit that's filed not only against Sanchez but against Fox Sports before he's basically even stopped his medical treatment? So there's a lot more going on here, and you did your own character evidence, if you will, right there in the prior interview. Anybody who knows Mark Sanchez finds this hard to believe, and I think that they may, that's some fertile ground for them to plow to see if, in fact, there was more going on.
Well, we saw in the affidavit of probable cause, the police claim that they saw a video from the Marriott in the area, and they got video from several different locations. And it seems like PT's story of how Mark Sanchez attacked him adds up. So again, we'll have to wait until we actually see the evidence as the jury here and find out. But it's not looking great for this guy. I don't know. It's going to be tough to defend.
Now, my understanding is Indiana is a very strong self-defense state. I think it's even a stand your ground state where you have no duty to retreat. Yep. I mean, it's not every day that the person who gets stabbed, the stabbing victim, is the one who's being charged. But again,
that's exactly what I
does
said.
It seem that the way that prosecutors have charged this and now upgraded it, there seems to be momentum to this idea that it was Mark Sanchez who was the aggressor. I mean, how will he be able to successfully defend that? I mean, if you really are in a state where the advantage is to the driver.
Well, look, they have obviously ratcheted it up. They've obviously taken aim at Mark Sanchez. I just found it kind of odd that they say the investigation's still ongoing, but they're already raising it to a felony. I wonder, if this were in another jurisdiction, and I apologize, I didn't research this issue, but if you were in California and these were misdemeanors, immediately the defense lawyer is going to try and do what's called a civil compromise, which means you can just enter into a civil settlement and get a recommendation that the charges be dismissed. You can't do.
Well, to me, it's not surprising. And again, this is an expert, but it's not surprising because this was this nearly 70-year-old man. So if you can make the charge that there was battery, and this man is clearly 70 years old, and we went over all the aspects of how this could be upgraded to a level 5, and it could be upgraded to felony battery. It seems like it's pretty straightforward. Now, if it goes to court and it goes forward and they offer a plea deal, then maybe they can give him the lesser charge of just battery. But it seems like a pretty straightforward felony battery, especially when the investigation has clearly shown so far that Mark Sanchez was the aggressor.
Civil settlement and get a recommendation that the charges be dismissed. You can't do that generally in felony cases.
Do you think when they say they're investigating, they might upgrade the charges? What else could he be facing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they could upgrade the charges, and they've got all kinds of, I don't know if they're going to do kind of standalone. I can think of a million things. I don't want to do the prosecutors' work for them. Right. But yes, there could be a number of other charges or enhancement style things that they could add on here.
You mentioned the civil lawsuit. Not surprised that he's filing a lawsuit against Mark Sanchez. Fox Sports. Explain to me if you think that's a strong claim, because I think it's for negligent hiring, but wasn't Sanchez not working at the time of this attack or this incident?
As somebody who has litigated with Fox and against Fox, I will tell you, they generally have a very robust legal department and outside counsel. I would think that unless they've got something that Fox was on notice, that's going to be a tough lawsuit against Fox, and it's going to be quite a heavy lift.
You think they part ways with them, Fox Sports?
Of course.
I don't know. I mean, one of the things about Fox as a employer is, in the old days, I might have said yes. I'm not so sure in the present day Fox.
Oh my gosh. Why are we having this conversation? Yes, they are going to fire him. Absolutely. What are we talking about here? It's just this. Yes. Would you fire him from your company? Would you let this man who did this allegedly stay at your company? No. Mark, we're sorry. Time's up. This isn't a great look. We got to let you go. All right, man, this is insane. So I want to pull this up for you guys as well. And we're going to get into this shortly. As you know, things have been upgraded, and you can see that here. And I want to make sure that you guys can get a good view of this. So actually, let me do it this way to make it a little bit easier. So we've got the amended information from Mark Sanchez's charges, and we'll read them here for you. Check this out. So what did the state say? This is the state's motion to amend the information, and shout out to Amy for sending this over. They say the state of Indiana, by its deputy prosecuting attorney, and filed its motion to amend the state would show the court as follows. So here's the reasoning why. The state filed charges in this matter on October 5th of 2025, and the defendant's initial hearing is scheduled for October 7th, which is today. By random assignment, the case was filed into the criminal courtroom 18. There has been no initial hearing in this matter. Therefore, there is neither an ambiguous date nor a trial date. The state may amend its charges information without leave at any time prior to 30 days before the omnibus, I don't know what that means, date in a felony case, sorry guys, on or after the time with leave of court. The state seeks to add count 4, battery resulting in serious bodily injury. And as you can see, that is a felony. The state has learned additional information that merits increasing the filed charges from 3 misdemeanors to a major felony count of battery resulting in serious bodily injury. The state also requests transfer to a major felony courtroom. Sheesh! No, they are not playing with this, man. This motion is timely filed. Permitting this amendment will not prejudice the defendant's substantial rights insofar as a defendant's available defense do not change, and amending the charge information in this manner does not substantially affect the rights of the defendant, and the defendant has adequate time to prepare for these added amended counts. And then you have Mr. Daniel C. in here. He signed, that is the deputy prosecuting attorney, and he signed the certificate here as well. So we've got the information. This was the initial count, and y'all can see they added the other count here. On October 4th, 2025, Mark Sanchez did knowingly touch PT in a rude, insolent, or angry manner by throwing or shoving PT, resulting in seriously bodily injury. This is extreme pain, all of which contrary to the statute and against the peace and dignity of the state of Indiana. So it could be possibly they finally got the information from the videos. They got Mark Sanchez's videos. They got the videos from PT. They could have seen something there. They could have said, hey guys, you know, this man's 70 years old. Mark Sanchez, you can't be pushing and shoving 70-year-old people. That's not okay. We have to upgrade this to a felony. I want to know what you guys think about this. Again, as I mentioned, we are going to get into the lawsuit that was filed against Mark Sanchez in this, and we're actually going to hear from Mark Sanchez and his side and see what statement they have to make. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. We are not done with Mark Sanchez. This is going to be a wild one, y'all. This is going to be bad. Bad. He's fired, says Mr. Brown. Yes, he's fired. So did Mark hit the dude? Yeah. Allegedly, yes. The old guy was feeling scared. Mark, according to him, and I'll show you guys. We have it here. Here's exactly what happened. This is the amended affidavit for probable cause. We're not going to get into because they really hadn't changed much in here. But they're saying that you can see Mark Sanchez. He's talking to the guy. He runs off. He comes back. He's talking to the guy again. Mark Sanchez jumps in the car. PT's like, hey, you got to get out of the car, man. Mark Sanchez is getting out. PT goes in there to grab his phone to try and call somebody. Mark Sanchez ain't having it. He grabs up on the guy and he starts to go towards Mark Sanchez. PT feels afraid for his life. Then PT, he pulls out a knife. They tussle back and forth. Mark Sanchez throws him. He comes up to him again. And PT gets him a couple times. Mark Sanchez is like, oh my God, he stabbed me, and runs off basically. So that's basically what happened. We explain and break down everything in the previous video I posted about this. So make sure y'all go check that out. The guy who took down the camera, so y'all are talking about Charlie Kirk, wasn't concerned about more shots from the suspect while the audience was running for their lives. He's getting up in Charlie's chair and he's literally shot in. Yeah, that is definitely, the crime scene was not secure at that point. Sanchez is married to Perry Matafield, one of my favorite actresses. I don't think I know who that is. So the old guy got pushed and then he stabbed Mark, essentially, and he was in fear for his life, is what he says. My understanding is he full on assaulted the old man and didn't let up even after being pepper sprayed. Not sure how much was on that video. That's exactly what's being alleged that happened. Okay, that makes more sense. Going to prison after getting stabbed is bad luck. I've never heard about that before. That's one of the wildest things I've ever heard. But he is known for the butt fumble, so what do you expect? It's tough, man. The last name Sanchez don't carry much weight in Indiana. Yeah, that's it's understandable. Shout out to Amy for dropping the super sticker with the cake over there. She said it is cake time. It's always cake time. Thank you, Amy, for the love. I appreciate you for the super sticker. She does it all, guys. She's got a YouTube channel she's running here and on the other side, sending super chat, super active in the chat. She's absolutely amazing. That's why she is the awesome, amazing Amy. All right. So, oh man, I'm showing too much. I already showed you guys the civil lawsuit here. We're going to get into that in a second. But yes, this is somewhat breaking news as it was recently filed as of late yesterday afternoon. So we'll get into this shortly. Excuse me. But before we do that, I actually want to get into what Mark Sanchez and his camp are finally saying. And then we're going to hear from Fox as well, because they're not wasting any time when it comes to saying, hey, we're going to defend ourselves. Y'all haven't heard the full story. There's another side to the story, and let's see what they have to say. So with all of this information that's coming out about Mark Sanchez, he's finally breaking his silence. He is finally coming forward and maybe giving us an idea of what happened from his perspective and how things are going to go moving forward. We're also going to find out and get into why he is being sued and how that happened so quickly. Yes, because the alleged victim in this case is now suing Mark Sanchez, and he might possibly be even suing Fox as well. Let's go ahead and get into it. So TMZ Sports says Mark Sanchez family breaks the silence after the stabbing. What happened? Mark Sanchez's family is breaking its silence for the first time since Saturday morning's stabbing incident, saying the former star quarterback continues to receive medical care while also thanking fans for their support. This has been a deeply distressing time for everyone involved. That's an understatement. Mark and our family are incredibly grateful for the concern, love, and support we've received over the past few days, Mark's brother Nick said in a statement to TMZ Sports. Wow, you can even see photos here, which is crazy. Mark remains under medical care for the serious injuries he sustained and is focused on his recovery as the legal process continues. We would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the first responders and medical staff. I didn't realize TMZ got a picture of this. This picture is wild. See him laying there holding the stomach. Jeez. Of course, Sanchez was arrested Saturday afternoon while he lay in an Indianapolis hospital bed where he was being treated for stab wounds to his upper torso. After authorities say he was the aggressor in an altercation with the nearly 70-year-old truck driver just hours later. The former first-round draft pick is facing 4 charges, including felony battery, as we just went over, for his alleged role in the incident, as well as a lawsuit filed Monday morning. You guys are probably thinking, this man filed a lawsuit already? Yes, we're going to get into it. And speaking of, there's already a lawsuit going against Fox and against Mark Sanchez. Check this out. We've got the plaintiff. We know his name officially. PT, his name is Perry Toll. And shout out to Amy for posting this on X. If you guys don't follow Amy on X and you want the latest up-to-date news, make sure you go follow her at IAMYLEIGH on X. You can find the link in the description. That's at IAmyLee on X. All right. She posted this for us. She says, Perry Toll, PT versus Mark Sanchez and Fox. Why is Fox mentioned in this? Is it maybe because of what I said when we first talked about this? Maybe Mark Sanchez shouldn't have been out drinking. Was he working? He was on a work trip. I don't know. We'll get into it. The defendant, you are hereby notified that you have been sued by the person named as the plaintiff and in the court indicated above. The nature of the suit against you is stated in the complaint, which is attached to the summons. It also states that the relief sought or the demand made against you by the plaintiff. An answer or other appropriate response in writing to the complaint must be filed either by you or your attorney within 20 days. Dang, they only have 20 days? Commencing the day after you receive the summons, or 23 days if this summons was received by mail. You got 30 days. You get 30 days in Georgia. Or a judgment by default may be rendered against you for the relief demanded by the plaintiff. If you have a claim for relief against the plaintiff arising from the same transaction or occurrence, you must assert that in your written answer. And this was just filed yesterday afternoon. And we're going to find out what PT, or Perry, as we can call him now, is asking for. And you see all the other information here, when it was filed, who it was signed by. You can see Perry's attorneys here as well. We're not going to get into that too much, but I know you guys want to see the documents because we're all about the receipts and the facts here. So check this out. What is Perry saying? Perry Toll versus Mark Sanchez and the Fox Corporation. This is the official complaint. Again, Amy got this to us because she's absolutely amazing. The complaint for damages and jury trial demand comes now the plaintiff, Perry Toll, by counsel Eric J. May. That's a great name. Of Gladico. That's a crazy name. All right, we're going to say GNDPC, and for his complaint for damages and jury trial demanding against the defendants Mark Sanchez and the Fox Corporation, and states as follows. The jurisdiction. This court has jurisdiction over this matter pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana, as the events giving rise to this complaint occurred in Indianapolis, Marion County, Indiana. The parties, obviously we know. The plaintiff, Perry Toll, is an individual residing in the state of Indiana who was the victim of the actions described herein. The defendant, Mark Sanchez, hereinafter referred to as Sanchez, come on, man, they didn't have to do that, is an individual who, upon information and belief, resides in the state of California and was involved in the incident described herein. Defendant, the Fox Corporation, is a foreign corporation that, upon information and belief, is incorporated in the state of Delaware and is the employer of defendant Sanchez. All right, factual allegations. The defendant Sanchez is an employee of the defendant Fox Corporation. Defendant Sanchez traveled to the state of Indiana as a part of the employment duties of the defendant, or for the defendant Fox Corporation, and the television broadcast of the NFL football game involving the Indianapolis Colts and the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday, October 5th, 2025. Sorry, J Money. At all times relevant, plaintiff Perry Toll was performing his duties as an employee of a company specializing in commercial cooking oil recycling and disposal at the loading dock area of the Westin Hotel when he was approached by defendant Mark Sanchez. Defendant Sanchez, appearing intoxicated, instigated an altercation with the plaintiff Perry Toll, claiming that the plaintiff Perry Toll could not be at the location and that the defendant Sanchez had spoken to the hotel manager. During the interaction, defendant Sanchez attempted to enter and later entered the plaintiff Perry Toll's work truck without permission and blocked the plaintiff Perry Toll from accessing his phone to contact the manager. The situation escalated when defendant Sanchez physically blocked and shoved plaintiff Perry Toll, leading the plaintiff Perry Toll to use pepper spray in self-defense. Again, very, very reasonable, right, guys? I think you would all agree this is reasonable. Despite the use of pepper spray, the defendant Sanchez continued to advance towards the plaintiff Perry Toll, resulting in a physical altercation, which resulted in the plaintiff Perry Toll suffering significant injuries on his head, jaw, and neck. And he also stabbed up Mark Sanchez, but we're going to leave that out. We'll talk about that later. On October 4th, 2025, at approximately 12:35 a.m., officers from the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department were dispatched to that address. Upon arrival, the officers found the plaintiff Perry Toll bleeding profusely and severely injured. I wonder if he cut himself when he tried to stab Mark Sanchez, or Mark Sanchez got some hits in. I don't know what happened here. Defendant Sanchez was subsequently arrested for battery, unlawful entry to a motor vehicle, and public intoxication. All right, here are the claims. Assault/battery. This is why he's being sued, because he assaulted and battered this man, allegedly. Defendant Sanchez's actions constitute malice, willful, and wanton or grossly negligent conduct. As a direct and approximate result of the defendant Sanchez's actions, Plaintiff Perry Toll suffered severe permanent disfigurement, loss of function, other physical injuries, emotional distress, and other damages. Oh, man. Count 2, negligent hiring, retention, and supervision. He's mad at Fox for hiring this guy? Oh, my gosh. Plaintiff Perry Toll incorporates by reference the allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through paragraphs 18 as if full set forth herein. Defendant Fox Corporation owned a duty of care to the plaintiff Perry Toll to ensure that its employees conducted themselves in a reasonable manner. That's interesting. Defendant Fox Corporation knew or should have known about the defendant Sanchez's unfitness as an employee, propensity for drinking, and or harmful conduct. Y'all still think Mark Sanchez might keep his job? Are you guys that are on the fence about Mark Sanchez not getting fired? Do you still feel that way now? Because now PT is saying, hey, Fox, y'all should have never even hired this guy. And if you're going to hire him, if he has a propensity to participate in this type of behavior, you should have had a babysitter there. You should have given him instruction. Hey, Mark, you're going to be on TV the next day. Try not to get roasted, okay? What? Just take it easy. Something. So now they're getting sued. Perry's going to be taken care of probably for the rest of his life. Despite the knowledge or the availability of this knowledge, defendant Fox Corporation hired defendant Mark Sanchez as an employee, retained defendant Sanchez as an employee, and or failed to supervise defendant Mark Sanchez in his capacity as an employee of the defendant Fox Corporation. Defendant Fox Corporation breached its duty of care, plaintiff Perry Toll, as set forth above. As direct and proximate result of the defendant Fox Corporation's negligent hiring, retention, and or failure to supervise its employee, defendant Sanchez, plaintiff Perry Toll suffered severe permanent disfiguration, loss of function, other physical injuries, emotional distress, and other damages. Wherefore, plaintiff Perry Toll, by counsel, respectfully requests that this court enter a judgment in favor and against the defendant Sanchez and Fox Corporation and award the following relief. Compensatory damages in the amount to be determined at trial. Oh, that's not a good sign. They're not even asking for a number. Punitive damages in the amount to be determined at trial, costs and expenses of this action, including reasonable attorney's fees, any other relief that the court deems just and proper. If you guys were excited or interested to see this civil trial go down, it's not going to happen. This is going to get settled. This is absolutely 1000% going to get settled. As a Fox Corporation, as Mark Sanchez, you don't put your hands on this man. Allegedly, get in an altercation with this man, allegedly, get stabbed up, get arrested, and not have to settle this lawsuit. Again, you guys know I'm not an attorney, but we can use some common sense here. Just looking at it from a common sense standpoint, I can guarantee you this is probably going to get settled by the end of the month. More information is going to come out. Fox is going to do their own investigation. They're going to say, Mr. Toll, we looked at the data and you're probably not going to be around that much longer anyway. So what would you like? Or Mark Sanchez is going to have to take care of it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. My God, man. This is the wildest thing I've ever heard. Shout out to the gang in here. We still got 1,900 of y'all in the building. J Money's still in there talking about his used to be Raiders. They're in Las Vegas now. What J Money say? What the hell? A lawsuit already? Y'all said? Yup. Man, it wasn't even 2 days. You don't need 2 days for this one. You don't need 2 days for this one. He wants the AFC Championship game jersey when he played for the Jets. Yo, that's crazy. They actually beat the Patriots that year too. I believe, didn't they? I think they beat the Patriots that year. I'm still a little salty about that. Watch Ice pop up out of nowhere because his name is Sanchez. Raiders got crushed. At least I didn't have to listen to Sanchez horrible commentary. J Money, come on, let's be a little sensitive. Good grief. I mean, Okay, he's alive, so I guess we can we can joke about it, right? But Fox is responsible for what their employees do when off the clock. Was he off the clock? Was he off the clock? That's a question. Was the contract state? I can guarantee you that Fox has in their contracts how you are to behave when you are on a work trip. And I'd be surprised if Fox said, hey, you can go out and get wasted. No worries. So that's going to be an issue. And if Fox didn't have certain things in place, like maybe, having a hotel, putting Mark Sanchez in a hotel that has a bar close or nearby. I mean, there's so many ways you could argue this. Again, I'm not going to get into that because I'm not an attorney, but yeah, I think there's something there. We're going to have to see what comes out about this. I don't think this civil lawsuit lasts 3 weeks. We've already got a lot of information. The police say they've seen video after video after video, and they're going to get videos off of Mark Sanchez's phone. They're going to get videos off of Perry Toll's phone. Ain't it great? Drinking on the clock is allowed, though. I mean, in some cases, maybe within reason. Yeah, and it's Fox we're talking about here. They try to be above board. They haven't been able to lately. They've been firing and facing a lot of lawsuits lately. Fox needs to get it together. They really do. And I mean, think of some simple writing they could have in this contract. When you are traveling for business, you are considered on the clock. So what you do during that time is on the clock. Please conduct yourself accordingly. And then when you go back home, you can do what you need to do. But while you're traveling, while you're being paid to travel, you are representing Fox. Conduct yourself accordingly. Sanchez is going to pull the fight. Yeah, I was drunk. I'm drunk now. Oh, man. It's not going to fly. It's not going to fly at all. All right, we've got a little bit more of a sober headline we're going to talk about. If y'all haven't heard about this case, it's absolutely tragic. Dang it, I don't have a picture, and I really should put his picture up there. So what I'll do is we'll just go with Judge Whitaker. Shout out to Judge Whitaker. Let me see. We've got 1,900 of y'all in the building. Again, thank you so much to everyone that's in here. Thank you all for liking the video. Over 2,000 of you have liked the video so far. I appreciate it. And it really does help us out a lot. So let's go ahead and get into our next topic. If you guys haven't heard about this story, oh man, this is a sad one. And you want to talk about lawsuits? Yeah, this is a lawsuit doesn't fix this one. Give me 1 second. Essentia, go ahead and sponsor me, man. I love y'all's water. I need to get a sponsor. Y'all make sure you stay hydrated too. All right. If y'all haven't heard about this, we're going to tell you a very, very sad and tragic story. So what are we talking about? We're talking about Kyren Lacy. And this story is one of the saddest situations I think I've heard. This young man was an aspiring NFL athlete. One of the top athletes in college, played for LSU. And he got himself into a little bit of a situation. There was a car accident. There were lives that were affected, and specifically his life was affected in this. I'm going to let the news report it. We're actually going to do a little bit of a rewind and talk about what happened with Kyren Lacy and how he got into the situation in the first place. And then that's going to lead up into the next segment, which is where are we at now and what new information has come out about this Kyren Lacy case. Here y'all go. Check this out.
Despite Lacy's death in April, Ori hasn't stopped trying to exonerate him from allegations he caused a fatal crash in Thibodaux that took the life of 78-year-old Herman Hall.
Was a great man with a loving family.
State police charged the wide receiver with negligent homicide after they say his actions of illegally passing cars caused another car to fatally impact Hall's car as they swerved to avoid Lacy.
I've got everything. I've got every piece of evidence I have viewed. I've examined every piece of evidence.
Ori appeared on a segment on
Ori, his
HTV
attorney.
with host Martin Fols to discuss what he found in the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's investigation as compared to the original state police investigation. The conclusion of the DA's report was that Lacy was not responsible for the wreck. Ori also shows surveillance video of the crash.
In the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
The video provides key insight that was previously withheld, according to Ori.
At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards.
So this is Kyren Lacy's car. He was nowhere near the accident until he was. So it was said by the police department that he was the one that helped cause this incident. How they would have gotten that information, we don't know, which is why, again, we have to use common sense, because a lot of times police reporting and police investigation isn't that solid.
Behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
But perhaps the most concerning of Ori's findings, this interaction recorded on body cam of a state trooper getting a witness statement.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes, and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
But then
disgusting.
You hear Gold Truck, the witness who's the Gold Truck, what he says. And he says verbatim.
I ain't scared off or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't saw what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side. And I didn't.
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast.
Dang.
That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me, and she pulled into the other side.
Both Ori and the district attorney's office say the trooper coerced the witness into blaming Lacy, despite that not being his recollection of events.
Yeah, this officer is about to go down and have a lot of trouble. I want to give you guys a little bit of a better timeline of what happened and how the events went down with Kyren Lacy. So check this out. Here's the timeline. On December 17th of 2024, this is when the crash happened, right? Lacy was accused of reckless driving. Excuse me. Lacy was accused of reckless driving on Louisiana Highway 20, allegedly speeding and passing in a no passing zone. His actions supposedly caused another driver, the 78-year-old Herman Hall, which we heard about, to swerve and collide head on with another vehicle, and the 78-year-old died. Investigators said that Lacy left the scene without reporting it, which again, he didn't, as we can see from that video. On January 12, 2025, Lacy turned himself in, and nearly a month later, he was booked on vehicular homicide and a hit and run charges. Released the same day on a $151,000 bond. On April 12th of 2025, just days before a grand jury hearing, police say Lacy got into an argument with a relative. He fired a gun into the ground and drove off. After a brief police chase, Lacy crashed and was found dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was 24 years old, guys. So again, on April 12th, a few months after he was arrested and released on bond, got into it with a relative. The police came. He drove off. They went on a short chase. He pulled over. and just ended it. He couldn't take it anymore. Wow. And this happened in Houston. He was only 24. And then in April of this year through September recently, friends and former teammates expressed a shock, saying that the charges didn't line up with Lacy's character. His attorneys began reviewing dash cam and surveillance evidence, claiming inconsistencies in the ClassE investigation. And then, as we know today, we have the new video footage that shows exactly what happened. And it's just tragic that this young man was going through all of this. I mean, not to mention, and this wasn't brought up in the news, he wasn't going to most likely get any looks from NFL scouts. He most likely was going to have to sit out for some football. It's the same thing we see with other people who are public figures or in certain positions, right? He's probably going to have to take a step back from that. He's planning on going on and probably changing his family's life forever. And just because someone lied on him, just because you had a police officer that was forcing someone to make a false statement, this man's life was ended. Ben Crump obviously came out and spoke about this. He said, the Louisiana Democratic Party is calling for the Lacy law to hold law enforcement accountable for false reporting and wrongful accusations. After new footage has challenged false claims against Kyren Lacy, this call for truth could bring the transparency he was denied in life. This would be amazing. And why this isn't already in place is even more sad to me. It just shows how much work this justice system needs. Check this out.
The Louisiana Democratic Party responding to allegations against state police in the case of the late LSU football player Kyren Lacy. The party calling for accountability from law enforcement. Lacy's attorney, Matt Ory, sat down with HTV10 in Houma and revealed conflicting records and video evidence suggesting Lacy was wrongfully accused of causing the crash that killed 78-year-old Herman Hall in 2024. Police charged Lacy with negligent homicide following the accident.
At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Executive Director of the Louisiana Democratic Party, Darius Lanus, says the party condemns any efforts made by law enforcement to misrepresent the truth. Lanus is calling for the Attorney General to take action. He said in part, quote, we demand that Attorney General Liz Murrill immediately launch a full-scale independent investigation into the wrongful accusations made against Mr. Lacy. The people of Louisiana deserve answers, and those responsible for spreading false information must be held accountable under the law. Lanus goes on to suggest lawmakers introduce and pass the Lacy law during the next legislative session. The law would prevent false reports and issue penalties to officers or agencies who do fabricate evidence.
Why isn't this in place already?
The Kyren K2 Foundation, an organization honoring Lacy and dedicated to suicide prevention and advocating for mental health awareness, hosted a community event this afternoon. Lacy's family supported the nonprofit's event, which provided educational and health resources to those in attendance.
And I mean, can you just imagine this young man, how he felt his life was affected? His life was completely about to change, on the path to get into the NFL, probably making a lot of money through NIL, maybe lost some of his sponsors, maybe had to take a back step from his opportunities in the NFL, all because somebody lied on him. He knew the truth. He knew what was happening. But because you do have a court of public opinion, you have these sponsors that don't want to be sponsoring someone who's being accused of vehicular homicide. It's so sad, man. And Amy posted about this as well over on X. Again, make sure you guys go follow her at IAMYLEIGH at I'm Amy Lee on X. All right, what does she say? In early October 2025, former LSU wide receiver Kyren Lacy's attorney Matt Ory released police body camera video, surveillance footage, and investigative data revealing that Louisiana State Police wrongfully framed Lacy for a fatal December 2024 car crash. The footage shows an LSP trooper guiding a witness to give a false statement implicating Lacy. Yeah, and we saw it too. What the body cam footage shows, and we're actually going to see it in the next video. The witness is being coached. The video shows a state trooper instructing the witness to say in their written statement, the trooper is heard telling the witness, just make sure you include that you had to slam on your brakes to avoid the charger. Yeah, that's what happened. This contradicted what the witness initially stated on camera, which was another driver was responsible for the wreck. Contradictory evidence. The body cam and surveillance footage contradicted the initial LSP report that led to the negligent homicide charges against Lacy. The evidence showed Lacy's vehicle was over 70 yards behind the crash at the time of the impact, not involved in causing it. And then the unquestioned passenger. According to Lacy's attorney, another passenger in Lacy's car who had a clear view of the incident was never questioned by troopers. Even though video evidence showed the passenger getting out of the car, aftermath of the video's release of Lacy's death. Lacy, who was accused of negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation, took his own life in April 2025, just one day before his grand jury hearing. Golly, man. Calls for investigation. The release of the footage has prompted outrage over police misconduct and calls for further investigation into LSP's handling of this case. The LSP released a statement saying they conducted a detailed investigation. Stop the cap. But Lacy's attorney argues the investigation proves a different narrative.
Don't worry about filling any of this top information, like your name, address. Don't worry about any of that. Just right here, if you could, I'll just have you write exactly what you saw. Just make sure to include, where you were.
I don't even know what the name of that highway.
It's Highway 20. Highway 20. That you just.
All right, me and my wife gonna figure out right quick.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes, and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't saw what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side, and that's not in it.
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? And that's why you had to slam on your brake, the head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now.
In that video, you can clearly hear the suggestive nature indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid a charger.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes, and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
But then you hear Gold Truck, the witness, who's the Gold Truck, what he says. And he says verbatim.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't saw what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side, and that's not in it.
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening.
Crazy.
That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me, and she pulled into the other side.
That was the white car.
But there's a bigger problem. I then obtained the actual written statement.
Dang.
And this is from the Gold Truck.
This is the Gold Truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is Gold Truck number one in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is it is in direct contravention to what was said minutes earlier. It's not written by him, and where it says signed, it's not signed, it's refused. But you see, when I have a witness who is the most critical, and he's telling you, I wasn't traveling fast. We know now that he wasn't. The data shows 2.99 seconds before that he was traveling 28 miles an hour. The data shows that.
So guys, again, we're going to get into the full detail about what the investigation shows from Mr. Lacy's attorney, because there's a lot here that was missed. There's a lot here that was misconstrued, and there are a lot of lies that were told. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. In the next video, we're going to cover the full video and hear all the details from this amazing attorney. So sad, man. Very, very sad. All things considered, ClassE, there shouldn't have to be a Lacy law, period. That's true. Officers are trained to follow the law, not make it up as they go. Well, you see this guy here. He's like, yeah, you know, just yeah, write that down there. We'll figure the rest out later. Who cares if we ruin this young man's life? We won't get a statement from the passenger. I don't care what you say, passenger. We won't look at any of the video. We're going to go ahead and charge this guy who wasn't even near the scene. With negligent homicide. It's crazy. They ruined this guy's life in every single way. It's so sad, man. It's whew. Can y'all imagine? Imagine all the stuff that he's been through. Imagine what he felt. I gotta skip through this and we're gonna actually get right into this interview. So we'll get into it here in a second. Again, thank you to all 2,100 of you that liked the video so far. I'm not going to play the entirety of this interview, but we're definitely going to hear a good bit of it. So let's go ahead and get into it. When it comes to Kyren Lacy, you guys have heard that his attorney has been putting in extra work into not only investigating and finding out what really happened, but making sure that the officers who are responsible not only for falsely accusing this young man, but for doing a poor investigation are held accountable. So we're going to get right into this interview that he did with HTV. I'll leave a link to the full video in the description, and he's going to break down and tell us exactly what happened, the lies that were told, and show the evidence that goes along with that. Check it out.
I had attorney Matt Ory on our program to talk about Kyren Lacy's involvement or non-involvement in a wreck that took place, which took the life of a very popular man, Mr. Hall. And it was well documented, went national. It was talked about, it was written about, it was blogged about, it was all over the nation. So I did tell Mr. Ory back then, and I also tell everyone involved in this, whether you're an attorney or whether you're part of the investigation, you're always welcome to tell your story on HTV. So I told Mr. Ory, if you have anything to add to the story at any point, please give me a holler and we'll get you on. So joining me now is Matt Ory, attorney, and good to see you, Matt. Thank you for coming.
Good to see you, Martin. Thank you for having me.
Did you compile anything new?
I've got everything. I've got every piece of evidence I have viewed. I've examined every piece of evidence, which includes all surveillance, all body cam footage, and most importantly, the investigative report that was generated and manufactured by the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office, according to the data that they obtained.
In that report, which is independent of you, you know, when I was going through it and looking at some of these things in it, I think you'll probably go over where they were, because I see you brought a board where you're going to depict where all of them were during the incident, and you have all that information to sort of explain where everyone was at, how fast they were going, what they were doing, all of that.
I do. I've got it all here.
Okay. Is most of this reports, or do you have actual video?
At the entirety of the district attorney's findings, their findings after their own investigation. That's what we're here today to present. Okay. We're going to compare and contrast those findings with the findings of state police, because there's a ton of confusion. People seem to believe that somehow he hit someone in this accident, or possibly even shot through two cars and there was this explosion behind him. I've heard every version possible, but we can show you the version right now.
Okay. Sort of describe the video for our audience, what you've seen in the video.
Yeah, so what you'll see is in the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall.
Wow.
You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did, in fact, pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Why did they target this guy? Is it because he was young, successful, and black? I mean, I don't play the race car here like that, but why in the world did they key in on this man? There were several cars ahead of him, even before the accident took place. I don't understand it.
Part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that investigation, it shows that he was back in his correct lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Before this incident occurred, he was back in his lane.
What is the legal law state about where you should be behind? Or I want to say I thought it was 100 feet. Is that correct?
It is correct. You know, take out the fact here that it's a no passing zone. If it weren't at this time, it's 100 feet. What we know now is he was 3 times legally what he needed to be back in his lane of traffic.
Where was everybody involved in this? And I see you brought something that you could visibly show everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like I stated, if we're looking at this, and of course this isn't to scale, and I can't draw, but what you see here is vehicle 3. That is Mr. Hall's vehicle. This is another vehicle between Mr. Lacy and Mr. Hall.
Okay.
This is the gold truck that's referenced in the report. This is heading north. So this is the lead vehicle heading north. And the vehicle that actually collided with Mr. Hall's vehicle, that would be vehicle 2. All right? So through the course of this now, we start investigating and dissecting everything we possibly can. When we do that, we start with vehicle 2, right? So what do I know now about vehicle 2? Vehicle 2 was tailgating, all right? According to the data, again, of the district attorney's office, not me, according to their data, tailgating at 49.6 miles an hour, 0.5 seconds behind the gold truck, 1.5 seconds before the crash. So again, if that did make sense, she is following 0.5 seconds behind this vehicle, 0.5 seconds behind that vehicle, 1.5 seconds before the crash at over 49 miles an hour. 0.5. That's what happens when you tailgate. Now, interestingly enough, this vehicle was actually, when this woman was in the ambulance, they issued her a ticket. All right? You know for what? Take a wild guess. Following too close.
Too close. I was just going to say
They even told her it's in your personal belongings. Fast forward.
Disgusting. So wait. So there's a woman that was going to get a ticket or got a ticket for following too close, but they charged this man. How? Why didn't they give her a ticket? I got to run this back.
For what? Take a wild guess. 0.5 seconds behind this vehicle. 0.5 seconds behind that vehicle, 1.5 seconds before the crash at over 49 miles an hour.
Wow.
0.5. That's what happens when you tailgate. Now, interestingly enough, this vehicle was actually, when this woman was in the ambulance, they issued her a ticket.
So
all right?
she got a ticket.
You know for what? Take a wild guess. Following too close. They even told her it's in your personal belongings. Fast forward. Another trooper comes and is looking for that particular ticket. And that ticket, they told her, something may happen to the ticket, don't worry about it. Sure enough, something happened to that ticket down the road, right? The ticket now needs to fit a better narrative. And that ticket now says, crossing left of center. Why? The black box is telling me. The data from the district attorney's office tells me you're traveling 0.5 seconds at 49.6 miles an hour, 1.5 seconds before the accident. That's not tailgating? Now, what we're looking at, this isn't speculation. Through this, we hear there's story after story. Actually, vehicle 2's story got bigger and bigger and bigger until we now have their data, right? So when we get our hands on it, I'm looking at the data from that particular vehicle. That data in that vehicle shows me
5 seconds previous to this crash. 5. I'm looking at it. You're going to show it. 5 seconds previous to this crash, she maintained a speed of 49.6 miles an hour, never activating the EBS system until 0.5 seconds before the crash. Why is that important? Because if your story, which we'll get into, keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you had all this time to see the gold truck, in her words, stomp on their brakes, slam on their brakes, come to a stop, veer off the road. I see another vehicle approaching. I see the Charger approaching. Well, my question to you now becomes, how did you see that vehicle approaching, or him stop, or him slam on his brakes, yet your data says you never touched your brake prior to 0.5 seconds before that crash? I'm looking right now, so are you, at the last 5 seconds, according to her. Her car's black box, not mine, not my expert. That's her car. So if you're going to tell me a 5 to 10 second elaborate story, it needs to make sense. And when you have the data, not only doesn't it add up, it's not possible. Correct. Notice on there, Martin, it says 75 degrees, right? You turn 75 degrees to the left all of a sudden. That's what happens when you tailgate. Now, interestingly enough, this vehicle was actually, when this woman was in the ambulance, they issued her a ticket, all right? You know for what? Take a wild guess. Following too close. Data from the district attorney's office tells me you're traveling 0.5 seconds at 49.6 miles an hour, 1.5 seconds before the accident. That's not tailgating? That's not following too close? Of course it is.
Yep.
Ticket was taken away.
I'm looking at the data, and I'm learning some new things here.
This, man.
So the 75, the steering input at 75 to the left.
That's correct.
Any indicator, I would guess 75 on a scale of 100. That's a pretty hard turn to the left.
It's a very hard turn to the left. The gold truck, the lead vehicle in oncoming traffic, who, by the way, is probably one of the two most important witnesses in this entire case. We know now that 2.99 seconds prior to him pulling off the road, he was traveling 28 miles an hour. 28 miles an hour. Now, you're going to hear his statement in a little while, and it's going to all make sense. But let's be very clear right now for the intent and purposes of what we're doing. There are two vehicles that we're talking about right now that are traveling north. The second vehicle in oncoming traffic, which is vehicle 2, their data says she is tailgating. She is 0.5 seconds at 49.6 miles an hour, 1.5 seconds before the crash. And you saw her data, 50.3 to 49.6.
Yeah, so she stayed at 49.6 until 0.5 seconds, and then...
There's a variation of less than a mile per hour.
Yeah.
It's crazy. 0.7, I believe.
Right. Did she give any police report or anything?
Oh, absolutely. So
let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we will. This particular individual, and for purposes of this report, I'd like you, Martin, this is page 9, if you could follow along to make sure I'm not misquoting a single thing.
All right.
All right, I'm looking at the investigative report of the district attorney's office. And then here you can see this is their investigator looking at vehicle 2 statements, and now he's analyzing. He says, upon reviewing the body cam video of the trooper from the scene, the following statement was made by, we'll call her vehicle 2, right? I just know the truck was stomping on brakes. The other was trying to pass the other car. I was trying to dodge by not hitting him, by coming around. When the trooper asked how fast she was going, she replied the speed limit. He next says, I reviewed the recorded interview and the written statement from vehicle 2 while she was in the hospital on January 3rd, 2025. Below is a synopsis of that interview. And the very first, it says, all I can see is that a car is coming this way and the car in front of me. Right before the crash, I'm looking at the pickup truck in front of me. That's all they see for the moment. I'm eating my Funyuns. I got in the middle of my lap and I'm driving. I'm listening to my music. All of a sudden, I see the car get in the other person's lane. The truck, end quote, steps on his brakes. First, so it slows down, but then he does it again, and this time it's really hard. That's when you can see on the other side, the car is trying to get back over. But before he can get over, the truck stops in the middle, like on the brakes, hard. There's another car that runs damn near into the pole. It's either I run into him or I try to get out the way, so I'm trying to get to the dollar store parking lot. Yep. Then the other car just comes and slams into me. The trooper asked vehicle 2, whenever you're looking forward, or the cars in front of you, they swerve off to the right before you make your left, or you're looking at a green Charger coming at you. Or, end of quotes. Vehicle 2 responded with, the green Charger came, and then the car behind me, behind them, the truck, the van, whatever. The trooper does not ask any further follow-up questions to get a better understanding of what she was saying for this answer. Now remember, I'm reading what the investigator's saying.
They thought they had
When vehicle 2 states the truck stops in the middle of the road like on the brakes hard, this statement indicates that the gold truck stopped in the middle of the lane and not, in quotes, swerving off to the right. This would also show that vehicle 2 would have steered to the left to avoid contact with the gold truck and not Kyren Lacy. During this interview with the trooper, Vehicle 2 made several statements that do not match the submitted report or written statement. Instead of questioning Vehicle 2 for more details, the trooper attempted to recap what she was saying, which seems to contradict her statements. While doing this, the trooper is the first to talk about the gold truck swerving off to the right. Then when it came to obtaining the written statement, the trooper tells Vehicle 2 what to document on the statement as she is writing.
I have two questions here. One, I'd like to know more about the statement that she made to the trooper. The other one would be, do we have any data on the gold truck?
2.99 seconds before the gold truck eases off to the road. Okay. Eases off of the road.
Right.
He's traveling at 28 miles an hour.
Right.
That all is in this report.
Yeah, that's my question.
You watch someone slam on their brakes. You watch them stop. You watched a car chart coming at you in your lane of traffic, but you never thought to just tap the brakes? Really? No. Data is accurate. The black box is accurate that says that you never touched your brakes. You never touch your brakes in the last 5 seconds until 0.5 seconds before the impact. That's their data. It's not mine.
Proceed. What did you find out after that?
So what I was curious about here, most importantly to me,
how does this happen?
In terms of the oncoming traffic, right? So I'm looking at that gold truck. I want to know what they said, when they said it, what were the circumstances, how did this come about? And this is where it really starts tying together, right? The gold truck, they end up getting a statement from this individual. There's two of them. The very first one, what I noticed on the body cam was that the conversation was going on for 4 minutes and approximately 30 seconds prior to the body cam being activated. And of course, when the body cam's activated, I don't know what you said those previous 4.5 minutes, they end up at this individual's house to obtain a statement.
Here we go.
I want to play right now how that statement started.
Okay, let's roll that in.
Audio doesn't come out. There we go.
All right, sir. So, look, don't worry about filling any of this top information, like your name, address. Don't worry about any of that. Just right here, if you could, I'll just have you write exactly what you saw. Just make sure to include, where you were.
I don't even know what the name of that highway.
It's Highway 20. Highway 20. That you just.
All right, me and my wife gonna figure it out right quick.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't scared off enough, but I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't know what happened. That's how she called that record. She was running in the back of me and she pulled on the other side. And that's not in it.
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? And that's why you had to slam on your brake, head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here.
In that video, you can clearly hear the suggestive nature, indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid a charger.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
But then you hear.
He said, make sure you add that in there, bro. I know the officers, the good ones, don't support this. This is not okay. This is wild.
Gold truck, the witness who's the gold truck, what he says. And he says verbatim.
I ain't scared off enough, but I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't know what happened. That's how she called that record. She was running in the back of me and she pulled on the other side. And that's not in it.
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me and she pulled into the other side. But there's a bigger problem. I then obtained the actual written statement.
And this is from the gold truck.
This is the gold truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice, I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is gold truck number one in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is it is in direct contravention to what was said minutes earlier. It's not written by him, and where it says signed, it's not signed, it's refused. But you see, when I have a witness who is the most critical, and he's telling you, I wasn't traveling fast. We know now that he wasn't. The data shows 2.99 seconds before that he was traveling 28 miles an hour. The data shows that. Now he corroborates that. And he goes on to say, I didn't even make a skid mark. That woman behind me, she caused that accident. And you give me this statement that is refused? I got a problem. I got a problem with that. A big one. What he's saying is she had to avoid hitting him. He specifically stated she caused that accident. But I've got an affidavit for arrest warrant right here. Nowhere in here does it say anything that you guys just saw on body cam. To the contrary, about that vehicle, it says the Gold truck took evasive action by emergency braking and driving off the roadway to avoid a head-on crash. But you just heard he said, I wasn't even going fast. I didn't even skid mark. So what emergency braking are we referring to here? And what the hell was the point of this report? It is complete opposite. I would expect that you'll show this to where they can read what was said versus what was written just minutes earlier.
Just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, like, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it.
I didn't even skid mark or nothing. After the officer told him to put that in there, I can't. This is too much. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. Find out who this officer is. If he's still on the force, he needs to be let go immediately. Immediately. Just from that video alone, I could not know anything else about this case, but just to hear him say that to someone, put this in your statement. What are we doing? Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. Thank you so much to everybody for the continued support. 1,500 of y'all still in here hanging out with us. All right. We are going to be back tomorrow. As y'all know, we drop clips throughout the day, even when we're not live streaming. So if you haven't yet subscribed, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we go live or drop a new video. The Honorable Attorney Kel Bell says, this makes me so angry as a human and even more as a mother. Kel Bell, the crazy thing is, y'all hear me talk about how much I stay out of the streets. I stay inside. I don't be out like that. But a situation like this, a police officer could just say something and that's it. This man was out driving his car and was targeted for what? Because he had a green chart. I don't understand. He was black, successful, just straight evil. So to think that I could do everything right, I could be doing everything right. This man could have. And I could go out here in the road, someone gets in an accident in front of me, and the police officer gets a statement from somebody that they coerce, and I could be facing a $150,000 bond and potentially ending my career. Man, y'all be safe out there, man. Shout out to the gang. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for the support. Shout out to the awesome, amazing, the beautiful Amy E for all she does for the channel. Thank you for the super chat today. Thank you to all 2,000 of you that liked the video. Hope y'all have a great rest of your afternoon. Be safe. We're going to be back here tomorrow with more news and updates for you. So as always, y'all know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. Wow.